Welcome, everybody. I'm so pleased to see all of you here because I kind of thought 11 o'clock in the morning, everyone's just heading in, free samples, looking around, and just enjoying the abundance of veganism at VegFest. But no, you're here now, even though it's just early days, early doors, and I've got a feeling I know why, because, oh my God, we are in for such a treat. Stop laughing, Patrik. He's so naughty, so funny. I'm just so excited. You know, I've been vegan about 20 years. My name's Karin. You've got my flyer there, VeggieVision, blatant advert. I'm humbly trying to address the fact that we don't have veganism on TV, and I love spreading the vegan message to the media as well, and work very closely with my BFF, Tim Barford here, who is the Mr. VegFest. And you know, I've been vegan about 20 years, and just every day I learn something new about veganism. And coming to VegFest, I learn even more, and I get so inspired by new vegans, older vegans, young vegans, and I have the best job in the world, as I just said, because I get to sit here and listen to these super guys on our sofa, because we've just brought the best people with us today and over this weekend. It's really wonderful. I just want to get a feel for you guys. Is anyone here vegan already? Yeah, oh my gosh. Anyone thinking about going vegan? Yay, woo, yay. Well, listen, today could be the day that you make the best decision of your life. There's nothing that comes close to making the decision to be vegan, because it's not only better for your health, there's nothing to beat it for the whole planet. And on top of that, the animals will absolutely love you too. There's no decision better than making that best decision now to be vegan. And I hope us doing our easy veganism sessions today might inspire you, reinforce already what you know, and I just can't wait, because I'm just going to be super inspired by these guys. So I'm going to sit down anyway and shut up for a bit before I get too carried away, because our session today is getting fit on a plant-based diet. I think that's fantastic. Anyone here into getting fit, healthy, living, sports? Yeah, I know Doug is. We've got Doug Moore. We have famous people in the audience. It's fantastic. Oh, here we go. No, we're just going to go back to this. So, let's get stuck in and introduce our panel. Are you as excited as I am to hear what they've got to say? I've seen lots of nods and smiles and everything. Well, look, we're going to go over to Tim Shieff first of all. And I did say to Tim yesterday, yeah, let's give it up.
Thank you.
World champion parkour. Is it 3 times? 2 times. I imagine there'll be a third. Really cool guy. I've known Tim for a few years now. Feel very blessed. I have seen him naked. And I did ask if it was okay to say that, but Tim actually supported his very good friend Jamie Oliver and did a massive campaign where he was parkouring off of every single monument in London, and he decided to do it completely naked. So if you want to Google Jamie Oliver naked, are they allowed to do that? Oh, Tim Shieff as well.
You might get...
Don't do Jamie Oliver naked.
He was the naked chef,
whole
so
different.
Get him.
Yeah.
Scary thought, Karin.
But yeah, sorry, it's a clean show. Okay, and next over we have, well, there's lots more to say about Tim. Of course, there's lots to say about all of these guys, but we've just got, you know, a certain amount of time, and Tim can tell us more in a minute. We have Kate Strong sitting next to him. Anyone here in London, from London VegFest? Did you see Kate do her incredible world-breaking achievement? I mean, that was just incredible on the bike. You were there all night long on the bike when all of us were just like, you know, sleeping off all the amount of cake we'd eaten. It was fantastic. So I've got here triathlete, world champion, long-distance triathlon, the first female to cycle non-stop for 24 hours. I mean, powered by plants. These are what these guys are here today, and it's just so cool. Let's move on to Patrik Baboumian. Hopefully I've said that correctly.
I just wanted to say I can't cycle for 24 minutes.
But lots of achievements to Patrik. World's strongest vegan, I imagine. Yeah?
Unofficially, yeah.
Unofficially. And I tell you what, he did our celebrity quiz a couple of years ago, didn't you? And you know what? He's just such an absolute giggle. I think we came over and lots of people just say, "Can you pick me up?"
Yeah,
Don't they? He gets that all the time. But he was talking at a vegan festival in Holland, so he's flown in from Holland just to be with us today, and then he's flying back out to Germany as well. So really, absolutely super cool guys.
Thank you.
You wanna say anything?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's right.
Well, let's just get stuck in, really, because, you know, we want to know about getting fit on a plant-based diet. Can it be achieved? Well, I think we already know the answer, but I want to go straight over to Patrik. Now, Patrik, is it possible to be fit and healthy and strong? Why am I asking Patrik this question on a plant-based diet?
That's actually something that I was thinking about a lot before I made the decision to go vegan, because right before I made the decision, I won the title of Germany's Strongest Man as a vegetarian. I've been vegetarian for 6 years back then, but I was convinced that I wouldn't be able to do the same thing on a completely vegan diet, because I was convinced that I would need dairy products, and I would consume a lot of dairy products. So that was something that I was thinking about a lot. I found out that it is possible, and not only is it possible to be fit, but in my case, it's a little bit more special, because what I do is completely about strength, so and it's very extreme. So what I found out is that even in that extreme area of strength training, it gives you only benefits to do it. So I think if it's possible for me, it should be possible for pretty much everyone.
Oh, that's amazing. So did you notice any difference when you went from meat to vegetarian in what you do, and then from vegetarian to vegan?
Yeah, that's actually the great thing is, I mean, I consider the 6 years that I was vegetarian as a waste of time, because what I found out is on a vegan diet you do so much better.
Wow.
But now the great thing is that I can compare all these different diets
Yes.
together. So when people ask me, is it possible to do that without meat, I can tell them it is possible, because I've been vegetarian for 6 years. And then when they ask me, or sometimes people say, I want to do this step by step, go vegetarian first and then go vegan, and then I can tell them, don't waste your time. I wasted 6 years. Just go for the real thing, because one thing is, if you're vegetarian, you're still causing a lot of harm to animals. And then the other thing is, you're still causing a lot of harm to your own health, because one thing that you have as a vegetarian is you're still consuming a lot of animal protein with eggs and with dairy. And the problem with animal protein is it's very rich in sulfur-containing amino acids. When you digest them, you get sulfuric acid as a byproduct. That over-acidizes your body, and your body has to buffer that acid and try to neutralize that acid all the time.
So that's from dairy products, you're saying, that makes our bodies acidic?
It happens with all kind of animal protein. It's meat, it's dairy products, and it's also eggs. So as long as you're still consuming any kind of animal protein, you still have the problem. And once I got completely vegan, all this acid problem went away. So the most obvious thing is I had heartburn all the time. That went away.
So that's acid?
Yeah, that's acid.
So an acidic diet?
Yeah, that's acid.
Yeah, okay.
But then something that is not that obvious is when you have that problem, you also have like joint pains, because inflammatory processes, they are not healing as well when you're over-acidized. You're not recovering as well when you're over-acidized. So it's a whole cascade of processes that you can't avoid, that will help you with your performance and with your health when you go completely plant-based.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, look, let's head over to lovely Kate in the middle as well. Have you seen a similar thing to Patrik? So from going to your, typical sad diet, eating animal products, and then going vegetarian, then going vegan, was it a similar story for you?
slightly different in that I actually gave up dairy first. So it's been 3
Okay.
years this month, actually, being vegan. So it's my third year anniversary.
Yay.
And thank you. And similar process, I was feeling my body was actually holding me back. So my muscles were strong enough. I'm endurance, I'm not strength. I do need muscles to swim, cycle, and run, but predominantly I need to carry on 11 or 24 hours. But what was holding me back wasn't my muscles anymore. They weren't burning, it was my lungs, and I couldn't understand why. And that's ultimately, after some research, I discovered dairy is a major contributor to asthma and lung disease.
So what do you mean they were burning, though? You could feel them?
I was wheezing, you could hear me. I was almost a block away. I couldn't take in enough air or exhale enough air.
Really? But you were still, in your sport capacity, you were still, a sporty, professional sports person, but you could see these things
that was
in your
at
body.
the very start of my journey. So I knew there was more in me, but I couldn't go faster because I couldn't breathe.
Wow, gosh, yeah.
And so by giving up dairy, I just went cold turkey one night. Within 4 days, I was running 5 seconds a kilometre faster, which is massive. If you look at over a marathon, that is quite significant in such a short space of time, and it just went from there on.
Yeah.
So I went experientially. Whatever made me feel better, I reduced and ate more of what made me feel good.
Yeah.
So that's what turned me to plant-based whole food. And I am a very proud vegan for every reason. I'm actually a trained environmental engineer as well, so I understand the impact on our world as well as the plants. But it was what made me feel, I started with myself. What made me feel good and wholesome wasn't the processed food, it was actually what's closest to nature. So eating more fruits and vegetables and colours and nuts and seeds and grains. We hear it all the time, but actually experiencing it, seeing your skin better, having less time to recover. I was sleeping less as well. I was actually training 40 hours a week and operating a guest house 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I slept 4 to 6 hours a day. And I felt great. And I was 100% whole food. And I know it's unbelievable. I can't believe it, but it's true. And that was predominantly due to my diet. My body needed less time to recover. And so it was really, really on a super efficient level.
Yeah, I love that. And I think what I'm getting, and especially talking to the sporty guys yesterday, they're kind of on a different level to us, aren't they? And what I'm getting is they really listen to their bodies. And I just don't think probably we do that enough. Obviously it's different for a top sports person, but I think maybe we need to take some of this on board and listen to our bodies as well. It's what the guys were saying yesterday. And I do wonder if, Joe Blogs on the street, they go to McDonald's, they don't really think about what they're eating necessarily. And I do wonder if they're kind of used to feeling a certain way and they don't realise that they could feel so much better. I don't know. I just think that.
On that, there is a lot of research scientifically proven that it's addictive. We've all heard about sugar, processed, refined sugar, which is in bread. It's in everything we eat. The higher processed, the higher addiction it is.
Yes.
So when you are used to a normal food, we'll call it, which is when you go out and get a takeaway or buy your microwave meals from a supermarket, which everyone accepts you have to do if you live a busy life. You're creating this addiction, and to get off it isn't just going out to buy a plate of vegetables anymore. You have to work through that.
Yeah.
That stage of giving up something that your body is craving on a much more level than just eating.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kate. That's fantastic. Let's head over to Tim now. What would you say, Tim? And how long have you been vegan now?
I've been vegan for about 3.5 years now.
It was quite a light bulb moment for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was no vegetarianism, straight
into
vegan. Thanks to Gary Yourofsky.
Right.
And it was my third interaction with veganism. I do remember having 2 previous, and it was on the 3rd time. And I think that's really the key for a lot of people, is having that 3 positive moments of interaction with veganism. And it was when you do things right, you can go to the doctors and they give you pills and creams and they say, oh yeah, do this for 2 months and then you might feel better. So when you do it right, it takes 2 days, 3 days. Like you said, 4 days, you're running 5 seconds faster. When it's right, it's right. And the experience of it was all I needed to know. I'm pretty in tune with my body as it is. Being an athlete, you have to really listen a lot. But the thing really, everyone is an athlete. Athlete is defined as like a professional athlete is someone that's paid to use their body to do something, but everyone should be in tune with their body and listen to their body. And all being an athlete is being that on a heightened level and taking note. Everyone has a twinge or a cut or a spot or a hair loss or something they're taking care of. Every human being has something. They wake up and they get out of bed and they feel, or they look in the mirror and they see and they're aware of it. And it's trying to learn the root of these things. And so often it's to do with diet. And then once you conquer that and get through that, which is a constant struggle for everyone. You get to whole foods, you can go to raw foods. Yeah. You start to notice and experience these differences, and you know what your aim is to be at that point. But if you don't take that step and try in the first place, then you will never know. Like Karin says, I think a lot of people don't realize they live their life and think that's what normal life feels like for everyone, but it's not. There's very personal experience, and you have to try different things to get different results.
Yeah. So and obviously, all of these three guys are incredible, so do go away and Google them and love them and follow them on social media and everything. And if you look up Tim Shieff and see what he does, it's incredible, And obviously, I don't know if my son's here, because my son's Tim Sheeff's biggest fan, because everywhere I go now, my son is jumping off of buildings. Everywhere takes me 3 times as long to walk around. Thank you, Tim. God's sake. So when you were jumping off a building...
Live and let live.
Yeah, and now, thanks. Oh, I'm going swimming in the swimming pool, Tim. Oh, I'm going swimming in the sea. Yeah. My son was like, I want to go to the beach, Mum. So you were jumping off of buildings, doing all this amazing stuff. When you went vegan...
Calculated. It's very calculated. You make it
Yeah,
sound
it's like,
so
woo!
reckless.
Woo, here I go.
Trust me, I'm very on
Yeah,
it.
it is, of course. So, but when you were doing it on a regular diet, and then you started doing it on, a plant-based diet, how did you feel? Did it feel different at all?
I don't know if you've intentionally done it, but you've got 3 sort of different ends of the spectrum with athletes. You've got the extreme strong, then you've got the extreme endurance, and I'm sort of sitting in the middle where it's a balance of the two. I've got to do powerful runs for like 1 minute or something like that. And for me, to be the peak fitness, and as a human feeling the best, to have that balance is about strength to body weight ratio, and that's what I'm all about. And when I went vegan, I lost a substantial amount of fat from the diet. I was eating a lot of cheeseburgers, lasagnas, carbonaras. Not every day, but I was fairly on it, but just occasionally I'd eat those things. Then I became vegan and started eating loads of whole foods, watermelon, fruit, and I was like, okay, I better just eat this stuff. And then I discovered vegan lasagna, vegan carbonara, vegan cheese, and then you start over again. But eating those stuff compared to the meat and dairy versions is such a different experience, like how your body feels on that stuff. So even when I do that, I feel a lot better. But when I'm at the peak of my athleticism and really on it, I'm eating much more whole food, plant-based. And when I did that, and in the beginning and subsequent times, the strength to body weight ratio is at its peak. It's how humans should live. That's how you know it's optimum, is the whole food plant-based lifestyle. Because you don't have excess fat and no excess muscle. I'm sure Patrik eats a specific diet to bulk up and do size, whereas I try not to overeat, and I try to eat a lot of whole foods. I go for hydration over everything, because I think for my peak fitness, that's the thing I want to nail down, and I feel better the more hydrated I am. If I feel fatigued the next day, I'll drink a litre of clean water, and within 15 minutes I'll feel better and more alive from the water. It's about flushing the lactic acid out of the system and rehydrating yourself. And so for me, that's become a key focus. And that's raw foods, is hydrating. When you eat cooked foods, it's a bit more dehydrating. Now, I'm not against cooked foods and I still eat them, but I'm just saying, for those people that want to take it to the next step, this is the direction I feel we should go. Yeah, and I'm hearing that a lot as well on here. It's all very much whole foods and a lot of raw foods. Are you all 3 the same? Do you incorporate more raw foods into your diet? I'm doing it probably in a little bit more, in a different fashion. What I do to get enough whole foods, and especially not non-processed foods, is I'm just having a lot of smoothies, especially after training, where my body is craving nutrients, and I'm trying to get fast
nutrients. The sugar from the fruits is great, and then I have leafy greens and everything that gives me the minerals and everything I need. And
Give us a recipe, Patrik. We want Patrik's smoothie recipe.
How much spinach in one smoothie do you put in?
I have a very special relationship with spinach because because and it's not what you think. So I'm like the anti Popeye because my mom used to force me as a child to drink spinach. What would you call it? Brew, like you cook it and then she would make me drink that.
Really?
And it was really disgusting. So I have a trauma from that, and I just despise spinach.
Okay. Kale? How do you feel about kale?
I pretty much grab everything that I can get, put it in there. That there's no special special formula or anything. But what I do is I have a lot of fruits and frozen fruits, so it really tastes good because I'm not good at eating all this stuff. So I'm not a good veggie
him. He's
eater.
Not very good at it.
So I'm just using the smoothies, and then I also put in some concentrated plant-based protein, and that makes me. I call it my Swiss knife of nutrition because it has pretty much everything you need.
So how many of them would you have a day?
Oh, it can be up to 3. So, like, I would have one in the morning, one after training, and then one sometime.
Like a liter or Vitamix full thing?
The one after training is the biggest Vitamix thing. So it's
Shut up! Really?
It's
my God!
Half a gallon or so. That's where the belly comes from because it has to have the capacity to drink all of that.
So guys, what you've just been touching on this about what you do afterwards and the nutrients, getting the nutrients back on board. We're trying to get fit. I think a lot of us have 2 issues. One is we run into injuries. So we get all this enthusiasm to train. We start getting down the gym or on the track or cycle, and then we get injured. And of course, the other thing, and if anybody in here is over 50 and is training, well, as you get a bit older, the recovery time just gets in. I can train like a teenager still, but the recovery time is just like really breathtaking. It can take me 3 days to recover from an hour weight training. I've got better at it as you do more, but even so, just to train twice a week can take out sort of 4 days of my week. So what do you do to they're big questions, but A, not get injured, and B, recover quickly so that you can carry on being working. And Kate, you said you used to train and then run a guest house. And what's your trick for recovery?
The trick is, there's no trick. It's understanding your body, and when you feel, example, if you go for a run, it's quite a simple thing because we can all do that without equipment and it doesn't involve the gym. But if you go for a run and you feel pain in your legs, that is completely natural because your muscles are being broken down in sport. But when you feel a twinge, you're doing yourself damage. And it's knowing and absorb. And if you feel that you can't go on because of a pain, if it's just you giving up because it's hurting, because we all go through that stage of wanting to stop, you need to push through it. But if it's an actual twinge, that's when I easily just cut half, I stop whenever I feel that twinge, immediately. There's none of this bravado. I said on Strava, I said on Facebook, I do 10K, and I stopped at 5. I drop it, because only you know whether you're going through the barrier to get better, or you're actually doing yourself damage. So it's listening. Yeah, it's listening to your body, what your really listening. Yeah.
And then responding quickly. Presumably when you were doing your 24-hour, if you got a twinge, that would be tough. You'd work through that because you're going for a record. But if you were training for your 24-hour, you would have stopped if you felt a twinge.
But even for the 24-hour, I planned to have breakdowns through that. So I got off the bike. In that 24 hours, I spent 1.5 hours in total off the bike for comfort breaks and those moments. So when I was feeling good, I didn't break. I just carried on. But around the 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning mark, when I'd been on the bike for 14, 15 hours, I was tired, I was crying, I was in physical pain, and that's when every hour I stopped for a minimum of 5 minutes to just sit down and go, right, get your shit in order, you need to get back on the bike in 5. But it broke it down and gave me that strength to go on. But it gave me a chance also to just double check to say, right, am I actually doing myself long-term damage? Because if I am, then I am going to stop. It's not worth the record. So yeah, with training, just be honest with yourself. Don't push through. Push through if it's just you're being weak, and you know if you are. But if you are feeling pain, don't do it for ego. And immediately, within 20 minutes, eat whole food.
So it's recovery, you're saying eat healthy. Would you say juices are the best start for recovery? Because they go straight in the bloodstream. There's no fibre, so you're getting this rush of minerals and vitamins straight into you. Would that be...
I have smoothies. I have
smoothies, yeah.
Juices, I'm actually
I know,
juices as opposed to smoothies on the grounds that juices are fibre-free, whereas smoothies...
I imagine they are, but I don't have personal experience with it. I don't know if...
I think the only problem with juice, I mean, what you're saying is totally right. They are fast, but the only problem with them is they are very concentrated. So especially when you're running or you're doing something and you have juice, it could give you diarrhea because it's just too much sugar and not enough water. So what you could do is you could put some water into it to get rid of that. And then also, I just think the smoothies are great because they're fast too. They're still fast enough when you put in enough fruits, but at the same time, they give you so many other things that you like enzymes and everything.
How quickly after training would you be?
Immediately.
Immediately, not half hour later.
I sometimes fast after.
Do you?
But I'm not as peak in one area as these two. But sometimes I like to let that feeling in my body go through that. But sometimes I want to burn more calories and burn more and let that sit for a little bit. But if I can just touch on recovery, because I think if people take one thing away from this talk, it is recovery. It is healing. We all need constant healing and especially the more you want to train, it is about recovery. As you guys know, if you don't get the recovery right, there's no point training for anything because you're just ruining your body. And it's having your go-to things. So for me, I use hot yoga. I go to Bikram as a go-to, and that is like the linchpin. I have to make that a priority in my training. If I do any training, I do that. Then once I'm feeling content and in that place, then I can move on from there. Because we have what yoga does, especially, is it centers and builds the alignment within your whole body and builds the core stability with every single joint. That's what it's trying to do in the practice. And if you don't have that core stability in the joint and you're hammering in miles on the road or weights in the gym, you can really start to misalign those joints. And over time, you may just start as a twinge and I've got this little niggle, you don't feel it for 2 months, you start to feel it a little more a few months later. And over time, it can just build these problems. And I really think we have to focus on, when you're a kid, you're constantly fidgeting and moving and bending your knees and things, and we're in all these weird positions. That's keeping us healthy and keeping us mobile. And as adults, we start to stiffen up and do everything straight, and we lose this flow through our joints, and the circulation goes. And that's what yoga does. It gets us in these positions that normally as a kid you'd do anyway, but because we're adults, we have to go to a yoga class to get in those positions. And I think that is the one thing is knowing how to heal constantly and having your go-tos. It might not be yoga for you. It might be playing with a 2-year-old and rolling around on the floor. But whatever you do, make sure that you have a go-to that works and have a plan B and C as well, like other acupuncture or massage.
That's something that I know Ryan Giggs, who was the oldest
Played for ages,
professional footballer. Ryan Giggs played to his 40 at the top level, and he took up yoga in his early 30s, and he, which for a footballer at the time was unheard of. Really.
The earlier you get on it, the better. I promise you.
Ryan Giggs put down his time of playing. It's so late in the career to yoga, I believe. Yeah, so that's really interesting. Actually, the soft exercises that flex and realign are just as important. What you're saying are just as important as the
mobility,
the hard
mobility
exercises of the actual training the muscles and joints. That's really interesting. Do you find that too, Patrik? Are you quite flexible? Do you think? Because you weight train, you're building muscle all the time. Can you still? Do you shake out a lot? Do you?
No, I'm terrible, and I'm getting punished. I'm getting punished for that.
Is it?
You're completely right. It's always a great idea to try to stay flexible for pretty much everyone, even for someone like me. And I had to learn that through a painful experience. I just started at about 1.5 years ago to even try to incorporate a little bit of stretching and so on to my training, and it's been so great for my performance, which really amazed me. I didn't knew that it would actually help me with the performances, and not only with injury protection and so on. So it's really great.
One thing between the yoga and the diet. Sorry to jump in. Between the yoga and the diet, you realise you can train a lot less. I think most people.
I think they might be too close together.
Oh, sorry about that. Tech from
Not you two.
I think we have a tendency to either watch professional athletes at the peak who have built that base for tens of years and want to train as hard as them, or we see people on Strava running every day, and we want to train as often as these people we look up to, and we watch people on TV. But we don't see the recovery they do in between, and we just do that and want to do that, or we don't build the base. What I've learned is with the whole food plant-based lifestyle, I can train a lot less often and maintain that ability as long as I'm doing the maintenance with the yoga and eating the right diet. And then if you are busy and you don't have the hours, you can still make those gains because you're doing the work in between. If you eat a rough diet, a bad diet, SAD, then you have to train frequently to burn through all that shit that you're eating and to build that level. But your body stays healthy and ready if you do make the trifecta right, you know.
I love that. Well, look, I think we've got time for a few questions, have we? But please make them questions, because we had some people yesterday that thought they were sitting on the sofa and we couldn't get the mic off, which was lovely. But we've got these lovely people here, so we've got time for just a couple of, just make them short and nice and polite, respectful and fun. Questions? We've never had someone... Whoa. We'll go to you and we'll go to Doug.
Speak into the mic, thanks.
Hi, I was wanting to ask Patrik what his main plant-based protein sources were with his weight training.
It's basically a mix of legumes and grains. So it would be I'm born in Iran, so I still eat a lot of Persian cuisine, so you have a lot of rice dishes. So the grains would be the rice then, and then there's a combination of like beans, lentils, chickpeas, all kinds of legume sources, and they are very rich in protein. And the combination of the grains and the legumes is also good for the mix of amino acids that you get. So that's basically it. And then as a snack, I would have nuts and something like that too. Sometimes people, when I say that, they think, okay, but that doesn't really sound very proteinish. but then I like to mention peanuts as a legume source. So you have in peanuts you have 25 grams of protein in 100 grams. In a steak you have only 20 grams. So it's actually pretty good sources,
Okay.
and that works quite well. And then from time to time I also have a concentrated protein powder that I put in the smoothies and so on. But that's not a must. I do that because I travel a lot, and sometimes I don't have enough time to eat, so I just drink my nutrients. But you don't have to do that.
Should we ask Kate and Tim the same question while we're getting the microphone over to Doug in the yellow top for his question? Tim?
Quite similar to you. It involves preparation, so I used to prepare in advance all my little snacks I wanted for the week. But yeah, I love nuts and seeds. What I also add is lots of seeds, so I love pumpkin seeds and poppy seeds, and I add them to my breakfast cereal or smoothie. And they're really high in protein as well as all the other good stuff.
So what's your breakfast cereal? It isn't a bowl of Frosties, is it? What would you actually add it to?
I have rolled oats.
Yeah.
I love spirulina, chlorella, brewer's yeast.
So it's like a green porridge,
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
Love it. Fantastic.
Start with small portions, because the first time I was like tablespoon, and it's pretty vile. And then, fruits and berries and nuts and seeds, goji berries, whatever's lying around, make it fun, make it colourful, enjoy it.
I like that, make it colourful. Tim?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Eat a rainbow. Nature didn't make it to be scientifically analysed and stuff. It's like eat a range of colours, eat with your eyes. Now we go to supermarkets and everything is packaged, cereals are packaged in all these bright colours. Don't fall for it, man. The fruit and the vegetables come in bright colours. That's what you want.
Yeah, I like that.
That's the key.
Yeah, cool. That's lovely. Just going to get the mic over.
Doug.
Before Doug asks his question, I have to just give a little shout out. Stand up,
Doug.
Doug.
Oh, yeah, stand up, Doug.
Stand up. He's going to hate me now.
He's going to have to give this man a big round of applause.
Yeah,
in a
I
minute,
tell you why. Because I think Doug's just the coolest guy ever. Doug decided that he didn't want animal products in his £5 note, so he set up a petition. And if it wasn't for Doug, we wouldn't even know that there are animal fats in our £5 notes. So Doug has single-handedly taken this on. He's an absolute inspiration, a really cool guy. I had the pleasure of going to the Bank of England with him and met some really fantastic people, and we really put our case across. So I just really, he's an absolute star and celebrity. Don't give me those dirty looks, Doug Moore. It's brilliant. I don't know why we're making that noise, but let's go for it.
I just wanted to ask you guys, when you're training, some sports are seasonally trained. Bodybuilding, for example, it's only certain times of year that the main shows are on. Do you all train all year round, or do you temper your training? And for new trainers, what would you advise is a healthy way to start training, rather than some people wouldn't want to do 7 days a week, for example? What time of year do you train? Do you train all year round? And when you are training, for how long do you train, and how long would you advise people to train when they're starting out?
Thanks, Doug. I met Doug just last week in Keswick. He lives in the most beautiful town in England, in my opinion. And we were just randomly in the same vegan cafe. So that was really awesome. Don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
I'm just learning now the power of seasonal training. I have a different the way I train with free running. There was no real seasons to it, but I think it's important to make everything seasonal, everything flows like that. And I'm learning now sort of my approach for the next few years I'm going to try it like this, and I just started it this winter. Winter is for recovery, spring is for base building, and then summer is for really having the peak training, and then autumn is the kind of recovering from the hard summer, and then again winter for recovery. And I think that's a nice way to try it. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I agree. When I started out, it was in 2013. I just went hell for leather. I lived in Australia at the time, so I could flip from southern to northern hemisphere. So I was just full-time competing half for a full Ironman every month. You know, ridiculous levels. And I just burnt out, I have to be honest. After 3 years, I just went, I'm not enjoying it. It's just not right. So that's a great way of doing it. Also think about 4 weekly. So build up 3 weeks, and then the 4th week taper down and build up from there. And you actually really build into that. I like to think of an example as a car. You don't go from 5th to 1st and 1st to 5th. You need to build up your gears. So definitely work your gearbox.
Oh, I say. Patrick.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, I'm lucky with that aspect because the sport that I do is strongman, and every competition that we have is different because we have like more than 100 different events that we train for, and those events are different strength tests, so to say. And they can be very different tests for the body. So it's not like a runner who has to do the same thing over and over with every competition, or a cyclist. But it's very different per se. So when I'm preparing for a specific competition, I'm preparing for those specific events that are going to be in the competition, and it's always something different. So the periodization comes automatically with that. So, and I think it's always a good idea. So if you're just training for health or just training for overall fitness, you should have some kind of periodization too. And then also know your limits. Because sometimes people are too over-enthusiastic when they start off. And then you think, okay, you want to go for 100% immediately, and that's in most cases what just takes away the motivation, because it just gets too much grinding, and at the same time it can lead to injury. So know your limits.
Guys, thank you. Well, listen, hold your round of applause. Do not clap yet, because I have to take a stage selfie, because it's not that often that I get to be on the stage. It's not that often I get to be on the stage. There you go, full stop. So Do you want to all smile and look lovely and happy, and we'll get these gorgeous guys and all wave, and we can share it? Is that all right? Yeah? Yeah, good. Right, wait there, don't go.
Don't go.
Guys. Yeah. Oh, wait, I'm taking the wrong... That's it.
It's all right, you can get up here, actually, Tim. Come in here.
Come on.
Get in, Patrik.
Right, are you all
hiding.
smiling?
There you go, that's
Everyone's
it.
smiling. We all
That's it,
in.
yeah, that's it.
I'll take a couple.
That's it, well done.
On my knees.
All okay.
Thank you, guys. Should we hand it over? Big, massive round of applause. Patrik, Kate and Tim, they're absolutely outstanding. Thank you.
Guys.